Hello folks, this is a bit of a demonstration on something that I used to do quite often when I used to tow quite a number of military trailers around and about. I noticed quite a lot of questions on forums, where do you buy the adapters and the stuff like that. I generally just make my own. So it's a pretty simple process. It's all about doing a little bit of preparation first, and you'll see here a little spreadsheet that I've just knocked up, and I'll put a link to it on the bottom of the video. So quite simply, you'll have seen that there are different types of sockets for different uses. The military have a different socket to civilian use, and the videos on this video, you'll see that I've linked some images of what the two different ones look like. At the beginning of the video as well, in a second, we'll put up a image of the tools that you need and a bit of a list, and from there we'll be able to have all the jobs that you need to do. So there's a few different ways of making this cable up, and today I'm going to show you the simplest, fastest way, and it's not the pretty way to do it. There is a prettier way, which I will make another video of shortly, and I'm also going to do another video on how to make a European style plug connect to the British Army plug as well, or the NATO plug as well, and that's basically because I've got a Ford Ranger that has a 13 pin European plug that I want to be able to put a NATO trailer on the back if I so desire. So I want to have the ability to and have the cable ready for when I need it. So I might as well make the video while I'm doing that. But today we're going to convert the NATO socket, which looks like one of these. This would be on the front of your military trailer, and we're going to change it into, or adapt it so that it will connect into a British 7-pin plug like this one you see here. So obviously our socket, our plug that we have on our trailer is our male type. You need to have the female type plug, which looks like this, and that's the type that you would have on the back of, say, a Land Rover or the majority of most other military vehicles. Okay, the Army are really good to us, and they have or they label all of their cabling. Okay, so we have what each of the wires does in the job, and these are all generally wired the same. Okay, if they're not labelled in this way with our full description on them, then you have them labelled like this with individual letters. Okay, and the individual letters correspond to the pin on the other end. So what we're going to do today is we're going to wire up this socket so that it connects on the other end to one of these British 7-pin plugs. Okay, so a few things to think about with this is that there are multiple wires that you will use and you won't use, and that are duplicated in the process. Right, so if we look down this list here, we'll look at the NATO one first of all. We're not going to use the convoy light. Okay, we are going to use the stop light. However, on a NATO plug we have a stop light left and a stop light right. However, on a 7-pin plug we have both stop lights put together. Okay, so what we'll do is we will use the stop light left, but we're not going to use the stop right. Okay, another convoy light we don't need to use. We will be wiring in the earth. We will be wiring in the tail light. Okay, on a NATO plug there's one tail light wire. However, on a UK trailer there is 2 tail lights, left and right. Okay, and we're going to make a little bridging wire that's going to do that job as part of this as well. So we need a short piece of wire. Fog light's going to be connected, right? Sometimes on these cables, like this one that I'm going to be using today, the actual wire is marked as spare instead of fog. So that's an important thing to look out for. We're not going to use that convoy light again. We're not going to use the auxiliary feeds. We will wire in that earth as well, because it's just helpful to have both the earths wired in. And then we've got indicator left and right, and obviously we're going to need both of them. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to kind of set out our workspace nice and simple. I'm going to get rid of this just now. I'll set it off to the side so that I can see it. And we're going to work on our plugs. So this has come directly out the back of a normally aspirated 110 from a while back. I am a great believer in not throwing out these cables when you get them. However, they are fairly readily available on eBay and things like that. People have removed them, and as long as the tail of wires is on, then you can make this type of cable. If the tail of wires has been removed, then you're going to have to use one of the videos that I'm going to produce later on, and that's going to involve you getting the soldering iron out. Right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our 7-pin socket that we've got here. Okay, so on the back of a Land Rover that this has come out of, everything is bullet connected, and we all know the reliability of the British Leyland bullet connector. We've all had to do repairs in behind that little panel next to the tailgate on our Defenders in the past. But today we're going to be removing these, stripping a little bit of wire back so that we can wire them into the screw terminals that are in the socket. I'm going to start by just opening up all these terminals so they're ready for the work we're going to do. And a good thing about the 7-pin plug that we use in the UK is that they are numbered 1 to 7, which is helpful. And on the spreadsheet that is listed and that I showed you a little minute ago, they are corresponding to the terminals that we've got there. So just to say, I am not an auto electrician. I am a fairly experienced home mechanic, and I've done a few vehicle maintenance courses in the past. I have used these plugs that I've made extensively when we used to travel up and down the country to various Land Rover shows. We used to use these connectors to connect Sankeys on the back of civilian pickups that we used to tow about, and we also used to make the opposite cable to connect on civilian trailers onto the back of military vehicles. And I've done thousands of miles of these and had very, very few problems. So, right, so what we're going to do is we're going to separate the wires that we're going to use. We need our earths, we need our spare because that's our fog. We need one of the stop lights. We need a tail light. We need our right and left hand indicators. And all of the rest of those we're going to ignore just now. Okay, so all these wires, what we need to do is we need to thread them through our rubber grommet here. One at a time. Like I say, this is not the pretty method to do this cable. And I will do the demonstration of a prettier method on another video. Okay, this is going to be quite tight with all these cables because they're all separate strands. It's not the most helpful. All but one through. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave these wires just now off to one side and we're going to tidy them up at the end of the job. We have our 2, 4, 6, 7 cables that are going to go into our 7-pin plug. Okay. Right, so what we're going to do, first of all, I've stripped these two earths first of all. We get our 7-pin plug. Earths go into number 3, so we're going to put them both in number 3. Like so. Okay, once we've got the wire in, we do up the screw. It's worth, in my opinion, paying for these metal trailer plugs. I've always found them a bit more robust than the fairly cheap plastic ones. You'll maybe pay a pound a plug more, but that's worthwhile in my eyes. Right, so we just worked through the wires. So the next one we've got coming up is our right hand indicator. So the right hand indicator is going to go to number 4. So we're nipping off the end. We're getting our wire strippers. Okay, unfortunately the heat shrink that has been put on this is very close to the end. This might have to be a knife strip. Okay, so there we've got our right hand indicator stripped. Right hand indicator goes into number 4. We look round our wheel, there's number 4 in there. Fit that in, and we button that one up as well. Screw them down and then give them a good little nip up. Okay, so there we have our first 2 sets of wires put in. Okay, next one we're coming to is our, let's have our spare. Okay, so our spare is our fog light, that's going to go into number 2. Okay. So into number 2 there, and button that up. We're going to take our left hand indicator next. Okay, and left hand indicator goes into number 4. I put my right hand indicator in number 4 here. Yeah, no, left hand indicator is number 1. Okay, this is why it's important to have our piece of paper in front of us to remind us of things. Okay, give them things a little tug just to make sure they're in and nice and tight. Okay. Right, so we've got 2 wires left and 3 terminals because we need to run a jumper between 2 of them in just a minute. Right, so we've got tail lights and stop lights. So our stop lights are for both of them, so that's the jumper. We're going to do that one last, and our tail our stop light is going next. Okay, so that's going to go into number 6. So we find number 6, put our stop light in there. And that's going to work, that single wire from the back of the vehicle is going to work both stop lights on the trailer, left and right. Right, and now we have our tail light left. Okay, so this one tail light from the vehicle needs to work 2 separate pins in this plug. So the easy way to do this is with a bit of wire. Because the stop lights are normally red wired in the plug, I prefer to use a little bit of red wire for this. Okay, what we're going to use is we're only going to use about 10 centimeters of this. Okay, we're going to strip both ends just like that. Okay, and we're going to strip our tail light wire as well. Okay, right, so we're going to put both of these wires into our center terminal. just like that. And we're going to screw that up. We're going to run our other wire and we're going to put it into here, number 5, and we're going to button that one up as well. Okay, and that is our 7 terminals all wired up. Okay, then it's a case of putting our plug together. Okay, so these plugs can only go in one way. Okay, these ones have got a nice little retaining clamp in the little bag. Like I say, these metal brackets I find far better than the cheap plastic ones that you get around and about. Making sure not to nip any of the wires in the clamp. We do them up. We put on our other half. Seal over the bottom. Okay, right, so what we now want to do is we want to test this, and this can be done either on the vehicle or if you have a multimeter available to you. What I would do is use a continuity test. Okay, good thing about these plugs is they're labeled on the front, so we know that we are using not A, but we're using B, which is that plug there. And we can check that, and we're checking that all the plugs, it works on our one there, but we're also checking quickly that there's no continuity between the other pins, just in case we've accidentally left a stray wire or anything like that inside. Okay, they've not got C, but we've got D. Okay, and we checked all the other wires and none of them are connected. And then we've got E, which is our next one round. So that's our stop light, so that's working in the center. So that should work on our 2 pins there, that one and that one. Okay. We've got F, which is our fog light. So that's working on that wire only. And then we have L. Working on that one only. And M. Which is our left indicator, and N, which is that one there, is our right hand indicator. And just double checking that we've not got any joined wires. Okay, so we've got continuity from one end of the cable to the other. So that is a case of you can plug that end into your vehicle and that end into the existing plug from your trailer, and you're going to have working lights now for that cable. Okay, make sure that if you just bought a Sankey or something like that and you're going out to collect it, that you make sure you pick up a set of lights, because quite often most of the Sankeys that are coming out and about at the minute are 24 volt bulbs in them. So just have that second set of bulbs just in case that you need them, because that's just a simple case of swapping over those 12 volt bulbs for the existing 24 volt bulbs inside. Okay, so these extra wires we're now going to have to do something with. We need to tie them up, and we need to make sure that we're not going to get a short on any of them. Right, so my preferred method of that is a little bit of shrink wrap. All my time I've been told that you should never heat shrink wrap with a soldering iron, because then that runs the risk of melting the existing solder that's in any joint. So I've always been told to use a hot air gun to do that with, so we're going to use hot air in this scenario as well. So what we're going to use is we're going to use some shrink wrap. I think we're going to get about, I think we will use one shrink wrap per end. Right, and that's to stop these electrical connections doing anything dangerous while we're driving along. So, got a hot air gun here, let it get up to temperature. Okay, and with the hot air gun, it's as fast as that. I personally find it's even faster than it would have been with a soldering iron to do things. And then I would get, finally, a cable tie. Yeah, so finally I'd get a cable tie, or I would get some insulation tape, and I'm going to zip tie these back on themselves, just so they're not interfering with the plug. Okay, pull it nice and tight, make sure our excess is snipped off, and then that is a perfectly fast way to make your adapter cable to get you up and running with a new Sankey or other military trailer. And like I say, I'll do a video later on that will have a better, neater system, and we'll use a 7-core trailer cable to make the end from here, and we're going to solder and rewire one of these plugs. So look forward for other videos. Like and subscribe to our channel, and we're going to do more and more videos as things come along. I just thought this would be a good starting point for future videos, as I see there's been a bit of a need with a lot of people asking, how do you make these, where can you buy them? And it is basically a very simple DIY project that anybody can do themselves.